One of the things that we know is directly contributing to that is the constant overuse and accessibility of smartphones and social media. And I think one of the things that we have to talk about and certainly bring a lot more awareness to is what we're seeing in the trends lines. Anxiety, depression, suicide rates are skyrocketing. Not a good thing. And we know that a lot of that is driven in part by that constant accessibility. And so looking for ways that we can help kids take some of that pressure away, also focus more in the classroom and take away some of those distractions has been very successful in our state. We started a pilot program where we asked schools to voluntarily participate in going phone free. Within the first 6 weeks, 75% of the school districts in our state voluntarily chose to participate. Within the first couple of months, we were tracking progress because I think proof of concept and data is really important. We saw a 51% decrease in the number of students that had drug use in the schools that went phone free, 57% drop in verbal and physical altercations and problems in the classroom where they went phone free. So we're seeing the positive impacts and we know that the negative impacts are there. And so I think it's a really important topic that we can't ignore and that states can take on a bigger role to address.
We're out of time, folks, and President Trump is going to be speaking very shortly. I know you want to go see that. If he does not succeed in ending TikTok, she might. So we want to thank both governors for a great conversation. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up here on C-SPAN today, President Trump is in Asheville, North Carolina, to meet with those who were impacted by Hurricane Helene back in September. This morning, he'll receive an update on recovery efforts. That's expected to get underway soon. Then at noon Eastern, the 52nd annual March for Life rally in Washington, D.C. We're expected to hear President Trump's remarks delivered by video, and Vice President Vance will address the crowd in person. Watch our live coverage here on C-SPAN, also on C-SPAN Now, our free mobile video app, and online at cspan.org.
Democracy. It isn't just an idea, it's a process shaped by leaders elected to the highest offices and entrusted to a select few with guarding its basic principles. It's where debates unfold, decisions are made, and the nation's course is charted. Democracy in real time. This is your government at work. This is C-SPAN, giving you your democracy unfiltered. American History TV, Saturdays on C-SPAN 2, exploring the people and events that tell the American story. This weekend at 6:45 p.m. Eastern, we'll visit George Washington's Virginia home, Mount Vernon, to tour recent renovation and preservation efforts at the historic property. Then at 8 p.m. Eastern on Lectures in History, Duke University professor Cecilia Marquez discusses Latino migration trends in the 20th and early 21st centuries, and how Latinos shaped the culture, development, and economics of the American South. And at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on The Presidency, historian Lindsay Chervinsky speaks at the Boston Athenaeum about second U.S. President and Massachusetts' favorite son, John Adams. His presidency unfolded against the backdrop of the politics and personalities of the new nation. Exploring the American story. Watch American History TV, Saturdays on C-SPAN 2. And find a full schedule on your program guide or watch online anytime at cspan.org/history.
Welcome back to Washington Journal. We're joined now by Representative Bruce Westerman. He's a Republican of Arkansas and chair of the Natural Resources Committee. Congressman, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Mimi. Good to be with you.
As I just said, you are the chair of the Natural Resources Committee. Can you talk about your priorities in this Congress and your goals?
Well, we've got a lot of work to do in this Congress. And if you look at the jurisdiction of the Natural Resources Committee, a lot of that is energy and minerals. So energy production and mining are going to be a huge part of the work that we do. But we also have jurisdiction over federal lands and forestry, over fisheries. We also have Indian and Insular Affairs. So we've got a full workload, not to mention California water and wildlife and fisheries. So lots of things will be on our plate, But we had a good run last Congress. We got a lot of bills passed and signed into law. We got the Explore Act, which is the country's first outdoor recreation bill. And this was a large bipartisan bill that was so popular it passed out of committee unanimously. It passed out of the House unanimously, and then it passed the Senate unanimously, and President Biden signed it into law. So we're excited about outdoor recreation and access to public lands and meeting the growing needs of our country.
You are the only licensed forester in Congress. I want to ask you about the wildfires in California, but what does that mean to be a licensed forester?
Well, I studied forestry in graduate school, and there's actually a licensing process. So you have to take an exam and do continuing education if you want to keep a license to practice forestry. I did engineering for my undergraduate work, and I'm a professional engineer, and I've been able to keep those licenses up to speed while I'm here in Congress. But it's kind of neat I think last Congress I was the only licensed professional engineer and the only forester in Congress. I don't know why they say licensed forester. I think I'm just quite simply the only person that studied forestry in Congress.
So can you talk about your views of the California wildfires, and noting that President Trump has departed the White House and will be surveying damage there in California later today?
Well, these are obviously devastating. If anybody's paid any attention to the news, it's just heartbreaking to see over 15,000 homes destroyed, 28 lives lost, and at last count, I think it was $250 billion of estimated damage. And it's very tough conditions out there. I've spent time in Southern California. I was out there in October flying over what was called the airport fire. It didn't make near as much news because it didn't burn near as many homes. But you have these steep canyons with what are called forests, but it's really just chaparral and kind of scrubby oak trees and brush. It gets very dry, and you get these strong winds that come through. And when these fires start, they're almost impossible to put out. And fire traveling uphill is it's when it burns the hottest. If you think of a match and you strike it and hold it straight up, the flame's not very big, but if you point that flame down where it's running up the matchstick, it'll burn your finger pretty quickly. And that's kind of what happens when these fires are going up slope.
We're going to leave this here, but a reminder, you can watch.
When you look at the whole situation, there are things that we can do. We know what happens when you get this dry fuel and wind and fires, and we got a lot of people living in what's called the wildland urban interface.
I thought I was going to California. I said, no, I'm stopping in North Carolina first because they've been abused by what's happened. I mean, it's terrible. It should have been done. A lot of things should have happened that didn't happen. So we're here. We're going to fix it out. We're working with the gentleman behind me, and you know who they are, and we're going to fix it. And we're going to fix it as fast as you can. It's a massive amount of damage. FEMA has really let us down, let the country down. And I don't know if that's Biden's fault or whose fault it is, but we're going to take over and we're going to do a good job. We're going to assign Mr. Watley, who's fantastic, frankly, and the governor and everybody else that's going to work. We're going to supply the money, supply a lot of the money. Maybe you have to chip in something. You'll chip in a little something, like maybe 25% or whatever. But we're going to get it done as quickly as we can. And we want to take care of the people of North Carolina. It's so interesting. Everybody's talking about California, and that's a mess. But I said, I'm not going to California until I stop in North Carolina. So here we are. We're going to go visit the site, and we're going to work with probably 3 of the congressmen, Republican congressmen, who've been fantastic, whose areas have been affected, and with Michael Watley, the governor, and whoever else is, we decide to get involved. Probably less FEMA, because FEMA just hasn't done the job. And we're looking at the whole concept of FEMA. I like, frankly, the concept when North Carolina gets hit, the governor takes care of it. When Florida gets hit, the governor takes care of it, meaning the state takes care of it. To have a group of people come in from an area that don't even know where they're going in order to solve immediately a problem is something that never worked for me. But this is probably one of the best examples of it not working. And there's been some others, like in Louisiana, etc. So we're going to be doing something on FEMA that I think most people agree. I'd like to see the states take care of disasters. Let the state take care of the tornadoes and the hurricanes and all of the other things that happen. And I think you're going to find it a lot less expensive. You'll do it for less than half, and you're going to get a lot quicker response. So that seems to be the recommendation, but we'll be making that recommendation over the next couple of weeks. We're going to go to the site now, and we're going to figure out a plan for really demolition and cleaning, because not a lot's been done. And we're very disappointed in the Biden administration, but we're going to make up for lost time. And I said I'd do that, and this is about the earliest we could possibly be here. And we're honored to be here. This has been a great state. They're great people, and they've really been mishandled. But this group is going to be great, and we're going to get it taken care of. Any questions?
What was your response to FEMA? Do you expect to ask Congress for additional aid for North Carolina and California?
It will be direct. In other words, the aid will go through us. So rather than going through FEMA, it will go through us. And I think maybe this is a good place to start. Because, and in all fairness to the governor, and in all fairness to everybody else, FEMA was not on the ball. And we're going to turn it all around. Yes.
A lot of Americans think that this is symbolic of what your campaign was all about. America first, putting your priorities to Americans, even going to California, where their policies might have been one of the biggest reasons why they've had these problems. But you're putting the American people first. Your thoughts on that?
We are. Thank you. I like that question. Boy, I want more questions like that. That's even a statement. Thank you very much. He's a good man, that guy. And he's also a very professional reporter, I have to say. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're putting America first. We're putting, in this case, North Carolina and California. We're going to do a good job in California. That is a disaster like, I don't know if we've ever seen anything like it, frankly. They say the biggest in the history of California. I think, has anything bigger than that happened in the whole country ever? It looks like, I don't want to say what it looks like, but you know what I'm going to say. It looks like something hit it. And we won't talk about what hit it, but it is a bad, bad situation. And I guess I'm going to meet with some government officials. But I mean, much more importantly, and in California, just to revert to it for a second, millions of gallons of water are waiting to be poured down through already the half pipes that are already built. I mean, they've been up for 40 years. And about 20 years ago, they turned off the water. And it's the water that comes from the Pacific Northwest. Some of it comes out of Canada, and it flows there, and it probably has flowed there for 1,000,000 years.
I found a tax expert on Fiverr to handle our taxes.
Over 250 years approximately, and we'll soon be celebrating the 250th year. It's going to be a very big celebration. But it's been designed very well, and we're going to leave it that way. When North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Tennessee, when everybody knows the governor of Tennessee, I think, everybody. Do you know everybody here, pretty much? I never thought of it, but you're right over the ridge.
Right over the
So you're here to help. That's great.
The people in this region, including Tennessee, the people of Appalachia, are grateful that you are here and that you haven't forgotten them. And there are other disasters, but this one was enormous for both North Carolina and Tennessee. So thank you.
I've seen a lot of disasters. And when I came here right after, the day after. And when I came here, I couldn't believe it, actually. I couldn't believe the damage. And I've seen a lot of them. This was more like a tornado than it was what we witnessed. So we're going to get it very much taken care of. Good job. That's nice that you came. And so you call it you're right over the ridge, right, Tennessee? I like Tennessee too. Let's see, where did I get more votes, Tennessee or North Carolina? I hate to tell you, North Carolina, it was Tennessee.
There's one of the counties in this disaster that had 88% for you. So
88%, yeah. No, it's the people are just incredible people.
Yeah.
So, do you have any questions, press?
President, you talked about conditions being placed on aid to California, voter ID and the like. Are there any conditions that you're going to put on aid to North Carolina?
We're going to do a lot for North Carolina. They've been very slow. I don't know why it's been so bad. This has been one of the worst I've seen. Katrina, of course, was something that obviously that was a long time ago. That was not good. But this has been very slow. I don't know if that was for political reasons because they lost the state. Biden lost the state. Maybe he felt he doesn't care. Maybe there were other reasons. I don't know. But this has been very slow. By any standard, this has been very slow. And we're gonna make up for lost time.
No conditions you're going to push for aid.
Well, in California, I have a condition. In California, we want them to have voter ID so the people have a voice, because right now the people don't have a voice because you don't know who's voting, and it's very corrupt. And we also want them to release the water. If they released the water, they wouldn't have had a problem. If they released the water when I told them to, because I told them to do it 7 years ago, if they would have done it, you wouldn't have had the problem that you had. You might not have even had a fire. So, but here I don't have that. It's a different thing. You got hit by a storm. The people are incredible. They worked really well. Franklin was fantastic, and other groups. By the way, other groups came in that were also fantastic, and other states came in. Tennessee and a couple of others came in, and they really helped. That's the way it's supposed to be. No, this is a different kind of a thing.
Mr. President, have you decided how much funding you would allocate for disaster relief?
About what?
Have you decided how much funding you would allocate for disaster relief?
I have to see what it is.
Are you disappointed that Senator Schiff hasn't joined you on this trip? It's reported he invited Senator Schiff to join you on this trip and he was too busy. Are you disappointed?
I don't know. I was told that Schiff was going to travel with us to California. I wasn't thrilled, to be honest with you. And I saw him last night on television. It looks like he got hit with a baseball bat or something. What happened to him? Something happened to him. It looked like he got hit. It looked like he got beat around. But I'll ask Caroline to find out what happened to him. No, if he wanted to come out, I would have done that. But I don't know. Somebody said that he wanted to come on the plane, but I think he's staying back for the votes. There's some pretty good votes going on. Yeah.
President, what is your timeline for getting rid of FEMA?
For this one.
You just talked about possibly getting rid of FEMA. What timeline are you looking at, and how would you do that?
Well, we're looking here. Here, you're talking about to start. We're going to start immediately. Timeline, and to finish, it's going to be a period of time. People are also rebuilding their houses. How long does it take to build a house? Right, it takes a time, and I want them to build houses bigger, better, nicer than they had before, so they can have, at least they get something out of this disaster. This was a real disaster. No, timeline will be fast. In terms of infrastructure, I think very fast. I want to thank Elon because Elon was able to get us communication systems, as you know, Starlink. We had no communication. The first day I got here, I was asked by one of the people, one of the really great representatives, professionals, that is there any way you could get Starlink here? Because they had no communication whatsoever. And I called up Elon Musk, and he had, hundreds of units brought here, brought immediately. And it's hard to get. They couldn't get them before. And that made a lot of difference. I think it saved a lot of lives, actually. Yeah. Infrastructure-wise, we'll do it quickly.
Sir, can you just talk about how long you think it might take to get rid of FEMA? What's the timeline on that? We're going to roll it back.
Yeah, I would say, look, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not really thinking about FEMA right now here. I'm thinking about Michael Watley, and I'm thinking about the 3 Congress people that you just heard from, and also the other people in Congress, and they'll be working with the governor. They'll be working with the governor. So that's what I see.
Change the subject real quickly. The Laken Riley Act was signed by Mike Speaker Johnson yesterday.
Right.
When do you anticipate to sign that?
Well, we're honored by that. Laken Riley, I was there at the time, and we had a big meeting with the parents right after that horrible thing took place. And we have an act. You all know what that act represents. And it was a bipartisan bill. Many Democrats signed onto it. That's something that is a tribute to Laken, a beautiful young lady who was killed viciously by an illegal alien. And we passed a very powerful bill, and it was just approved, and we'll have a ceremony sometime very shortly. I'll be signing it. In other words, if you're asking, I will definitely be signing it. Okay? Yeah.
Mr. President, the security detail for Anthony Fauci was terminated last night, and I'm wondering if you have any comment
about what?
The security detail for Anthony Fauci was terminated last night, sir. Do you have a comment?
No, I think, when you work for government, at some point your security detail comes off. And, you can't have them forever. So I think it's very standard. If it would be for somebody else, you wouldn't be asking the question. The question is very fair. But, you work for government. We took some off, other people too. But you can't have a security detail for the rest of your life because you work for government. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Would you feel partially responsible if something were to happen to, say, Dr. Fauci
No.
or John Bolton?
No. They all made a lot of money. They can hire their own security too. All the people you're talking about, they can go out. I can give them some good numbers of very good security people. They can hire their own security. They all made a lot of money. Fauci made a lot of money. They all did. So if they, felt that strongly, I think that certainly I would not take responsibility.
North Carolina is a state that relies on trade and manufacturing. Are you going to have an announcement on new tariffs coming soon? Is there a timeline now?
Yeah, the tariffs are going to make our country rich. We're going to be a rich, rich country very soon. Tariffs are going to make it rich, and competence. We have common sense, competence, and tariffs. The word tariff is one of the most beautiful words in the dictionary.
Jonathan Reynolds, the business secretary of the United Kingdom, said that there's an even trade between the U.S. and the U.K., so they shouldn't have tariffs. Does trade imbalances or a balanced trade affect tariffs and your decisions?
Yeah, unbalanced and balance, and also deficits. Like with Canada, we lose $200 billion a year with Canada. That's because we allow them to make cars. We allow them to take lumber. We don't need their cars. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their food products because we make the same products right on the other side of the border. It's sort of crazy. So we've just allowed that, bad management has allowed it over the last 4 years in particular to become very imbalanced. And I said I call him Governor Trudeau, but he's Prime Minister Trudeau when he was Prime Minister. I asked him, why would we do that? Why? And he was unable to give me an answer. He said, I don't know. And I said, do you think it's fair that we're paying $200 billion to keep Canada going? And what would happen? I asked him, what would happen if we didn't do that, if we didn't subsidize Canada? He said, we'd be a failed nation. And I said, then you should be a state. Because why are we paying all of that money to Canada when, we could use it ourselves, right? So we take care of their military. We're going to order about 40 Coast Guard big icebreakers, big ones. And all of a sudden Canada wants a piece of the deal. They say, why are we doing that? I mean, I like doing that if they're a state, but I don't like doing that if they're a nation. Also, they've been very nasty to us on trade. Historically, Canada has been very, very bad to us, very unfair to us on trade. So we'll see how it all works out.
The United Kingdom
I
might
would
be in a
love
better
to see
spot.
Canada be the 51st state. The Canadian citizens, if that happened, would get a very big tax cut, tremendous tax cut, because they're very highly taxed. And you wouldn't have to worry about military. You wouldn't have to worry about many of the things. You'd have better health coverage. You'd have much better health coverage. So I think the people of Canada would like it, if it's explained. But just to start off, they'd have a massive tax cut, and they'd have a lot more business, because then we'd let business go to Canada routinely, and there'd be no tariffs. If we did that, there'd be no tariffs.
So the United Kingdom might be in a better spot then.
Reverend Franklin Graham has been a great asset to the state. Talk a little bit about the way the Samaritan Purse has helped North Carolina.
Yeah, say once again, the first.
Reverend Franklin Graham has been a big part of Samaritan Purse and their aid to North Carolina. Just want to get your thoughts.
Well, Franklin Graham has been a big asset to the state. His father was a big asset to the state, to the country, both of them. I just think this. I think Franklin and other people that are doing what Franklin have done. But I've known Franklin so long. He was at the inauguration. He made a speech, beautiful prayer. He does a great job. And we made a big donation, and it was money well spent. Sometimes you make donations, it's not well spent. He's done a great job here. He's done a really great job. So I want to thank you. We're going to the site now, and one of the sites, and I think for those that haven't seen it, you won't even believe it, but not enough work was done. We'll get it done fast. And I can speak for the Republican congressman. We're going to knock it out, right? We're going to knock it out. And I think we take it very personally, because North Carolina was very unfairly treated, very, very unfairly treated. And it was obvious. It was too obvious. And we're going to make up for lost time. So thank you to the people of North Carolina. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.